Hello everyone and welcome back to Angie B Cards and Crafts. So today I have received some more Happy Post. So this is the Tim Holtz Alloy alcohol inks and these were ordered from Joanna Sheen. Now these are something which are new to market. They only came out in February, they were released in February, and they're fabulous. There's 5 in the set. The 5 colours are Gilded, which is gold, Foundry, which is a mixture of gold and silver, Sterling, as the name would suggest, it's silver, Mind, which is a rose gold, and Statue, which is a bronze. So what I thought I'd do is, now that I've got these in front of me, I can show you what they look like as I'm making up my swatches. And I'll also show you a page in my art journal that I've started just playing with them on, so you can see what they're like. So I'll go through the swatches. I'll try and give you a good image of the amount of metallic look in them. I'm just going to use my puffer tool to spread them out a little bit. What I have found is some of these don't spread as much as a normal alcohol ink. I'm guessing that's to do with the content within them. So they start off, I think these have all now been shaken, so you may not be able to see them, but they've got little bits inside of them. And what happens is they separate out, so it's kind of the same effect as mica. So they have magic ball inside of them to enable you to get a good shake of the powder into the actual liquid so that you get that shimmer. So I would suggest giving them a really good shake before you start. I'm going to start actually with Sterling. So this is the silvery one. So you don't need a lot, so I'm just going to pop down a couple of drops and then I'm just going to squirt it across the page and see what happens. What I'm finding is that the Sterling doesn't seem to move as freely as the other colours. So I'm going to pop down Foundry next. So Foundry is a mixture of gold and silver. I quite like the look of this one, but you can see that's moving a little bit more freely. It's still just 2 drops, but it just seems to have a little bit more movement in it. Gilded, sorry. These have all been shaken just before I started the video, just so that you know. There's the Gilded one, so this is just gold coloured. So that's, again, it's the same amount, but it's spreading rather nicely. I'm just going to pop them all down first, and then I will go through them all with you. So this next one is Mind. So this one's the rose gold kind of colour. Oops. 2 globs on there. Now what I'd just like to point out as well is the colour that the neck goes. Rather pretty. So this one spreads really nicely as well. Oh, that is just such a pretty colour. And the last one is Statue. So Statue is your coppery coloured one. Now what happens, and I don't know that you'll be able to see it, but as you first put it out, it's got little cracks on it, and then it becomes this beautiful, perfect sphere that's totally smooth until you start to blow at it with the tool, and then it starts to spread out in the same way that ordinary alcohol inks do. So because I waited a few seconds with this one, it's not spreading quite as much. But what you can do is come back in on any of them and add more. So I'm going to add a little bit more to Sterling. I'm just going to go a little bit further up. So it reactivates what's there, as with any alcohol ink. But it just gives it a little bit more movement. And I'm also going to reactivate the Foundry one and add a bit more to that. Another couple of blobs with that one. I love the colour of this one. I love the division of gold and silver in it. So that's all the colours down, and what I'm going to do now is bring them up to you and show you each one. So we have the silver, which is here. You can see that beautiful shimmer. The sterling is the silver, foundry is the silver and gold. So you can see it's almost silver but with a gold rim where the ink has stopped moving. And then you have the, what's that one called? I've forgotten. Gilded. Gilded is the gold. So again, you've got that beautiful shimmer. I think they're amazing. Very clever. Then we have the Mind, which is the rose gold. I'm hoping that the camera's picking that up for you because I think that is absolutely stunning. But this is actually my favourite. So this one is Statue. It's like a copper or a bronze colour. Absolutely beautiful. So they react pretty much in the same way as ordinary alcohol inks. If you add alcohol to them, it will make them move more. If you add them onto an alcohol sprayed surface, so if I take another piece of Yupo, I don't think I said that was Yupo I was actually putting them onto. So Yupo is made of plastic. So even though it's called Yupo paper, it is made of plastic. But it means that it's a smooth surface to allow alcohol inks to move. So because this has now got alcohol underneath it, you get an awful lot more movement, but you still get the amazing, amazing sheen and shimmer. So let's pop another one on. We'll pop Foundry on with that one. So that one was the Mind. Spread those dots out a little bit. Now, this is more than you would use on a project because obviously you wouldn't have these colours as your main colours on a project. This is purely to get some swatches together and to see what happens with them. So this one's not moving as much, so I'm just going to give it another couple of drops of alcohol, and then you start to see the movements again. So you can see there's little waves. It's amazing. There's little waves of gold moving up here, and then the gold and the rose gold colours are mixing. I think it's very, very clever. So the other thing that you can then do is add colour to it if you want to. So these are just a couple of colours that I've got out. I'm just going to see what happens when I start. Oh, I don't know if you can see that. It's just starting to get this beautiful, just around the edges here and here, where the alcohol ink is meeting the alloys. You're starting to get this build-up of colour, and then you almost get the movement as the alloys move across the surface of the ink as it's soaking into the paper. Right, I've left those a bit long to squirt. Let's add another little drop in and see if we can get a bit more movement. There we go. So the same as with ordinary alcohol inks, the top layer of alcohol ink that you put on, that's the one that is dominant. So the dominant one here is the green because that's the top layer that I put on. Let's put a bit more on this one, just another single drop, and then squirt that one through. So if you can see here, there's the top layer of the green, but it still has some of that amazing shimmer from the alloys running through it. So round about the edges where the alcohol inks meet, where you'd normally get that darkened edge, you actually get an edge of shimmer now with these. I think they're amazing. So something that I did just before I started the video was just started making a page in my art journal. I'll just show you that and show you how it's going. Ooh, clear the deck a bit, knock a few things over. So this is just a page, it's in my Diane Reevely art journal, which is getting rather full. But I just thought I'd have a play, and I've literally just used 3 different colours. So I've used the Laguna, the Amethyst and the Glacier, sorry, which are from the latest colour range of alcohol inks from Ranger. And then started adding in various ones of the alloys. So the ones that are in at the minute, we've got some Mind, which is here, that rosy colour, some Gilded, which is the gold, and I've also put some Foundry in, so that's the gold and silver. And I'm just going to add some more down here. I'll just pop 2 drops on there, and I want to move that out down this way. So again, I'm going to use my puff tool, and with the puff tool, what you've got to bear in mind, if you do little puffs, you've got control of the movement and which direction it goes, or more control, not entire control. If you do a big puff, it's just going to shoot off in the general direction that you want. So if you want an accurate placement of your colour, you need to use tiny little puffs. And if you want something a little bit more generalised, then use smaller puff. Use bigger puff, sorry. So this one is adding in the Statue. So this is the bronzy coloured one. So again, just see what we come up with. And I just think it's amazing how just a little bit of shimmer in your project can make your project look more interesting, more exciting. Now I've no idea what this is going to be, as with every art journal page I ever do. Haven't got a clue how it's going to end up, but I do think that that makes it look interesting. And one thing you may have noticed is this is an art journal, yet alcohol ink is moving on it. What you would normally expect to happen is what happened here. So this is what happens if you put alcohol ink on to just an ordinary art journal page. It just absorbs. Alcohol ink is designed to work on smooth, non-porous surfaces. It sits on top of the surface and it lets you move it around, and then it very slowly will dry. If you put it onto paper, so this is, I think this one's probably about 240 GSM, possibly 300 GSM, it's just going to absorb into it. No matter what the paper is, if it's got a porous surface, the alcohol ink is just going to absorb into it. So this is a couple of drops of the Glacier using the puffer tool, and this is as much movement as I got. So if I show you, I'll do it with the Laguna this time. So we'll just put 1 drop down, get the puffer tool, give it a puff, that's it. Can't do anything else with that, it's not moving anywhere. You can increase the movement slightly if you use the alcohol on top of it or the blending solution, but it's not giving you the movement you want, but I'm still managing to get it on this page. And the reason for that is I've actually put a really thin coat of gesso onto it. So this is my humongous tub of gesso. It is Pebeo Studio Acrylics gesso. It is a litre tub. It's huge, but it's got a really wide neck on it. So that means that I can get anything into it to get the gesso out. It also has something which I really like, this protective lid inside. So it's going to keep it nice and liquid. So I'm gradually working my way down that. So you pop that on and then pop the ordinary lid on top. So anyway, what gesso is, it's an undercoat. So it unifies the surface, but because it's acrylic, it makes a surface non-porous. So it means that anything that you cover in gesso, if you have a multimedia project that's got things like metal and wood and paper and plastics and whatever on it, if you put a layer of gesso over it all, it ensures that everything on that project is going to react in the same way to whatever colour you put on it, whether it be alcohol ink, acrylics, watercolours, spray inks, spray paint, spray stains, whatever it is you throw at it, it's going to react in the same way because you've unified the surface. In the journal, what it's done is add a smooth, non-porous layer to my page, which means that the alcohol can then sit on top of it and move a little bit more freely. It's not quite as freely as it does on top of the Yupo because it's got a little bit less smooth surface than the Yupo, but it does mean that you can use alcohol inks in your journal without having to do too much to it. If you do want to know anything else, or you want me to try and show you it on anything else, I will be over the next couple of weeks using the alcohol alloys in various guises on various projects. So I'll be putting photographs of those onto my FaceTube channel, which is Angie B Cards and Crafts. And yeah, I'm sure you'll see them turning up in quite a few of my projects because I am rather taken by them. Thanks very much for joining me and taking the time to watch, and I hope it's been informative and useful for you. Thank you. Bye.